All right. So next on the board, I guess we're gonna keep the theme of like doing most of the out of town guys. We are going to Justin and Bobbum. Bobbum. I'm really not great with all the pronunciation of all these names. Um, but yeah, Justin's team is we'll call it the outcome team. Like Patrick's usually the boomer bust team. Justin is very much the boomer bust team this year. So 21 pick, DeAndre Swift, $51. I know I pushed him to 50. Love the pick. Love the amount of money. I think this is Swift's breakout year. The Lions finally got a new offensive coordinator, and it's not Anthony Lynn, who's in San Francisco and is thankfully not the head coach of Justin Herbert and not the offensive coordinator of the Lions, but the running backs coach in San Francisco, right where he belongs. Thank you. Anyway, DeAndre Swift, I thought was the most talented back in the 2020 draft. I think the Chiefs missed out on passing on him to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think the Lions' offensive line with Penny Sewell is elite. I think them getting Jameson Williams and DJ Chark this offseason, like Jameson Williams in the draft and DJ Chark in free agency, is a steal. Do I really believe in Jared Goff? No, I don't. I mean, he had Sean McVay. They went to a Super Bowl, but I credit McVay. I mean, look how they won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. Look at the upgrade. But he's a little below average. Swift is really good. Prior to him getting injured in Week 12, he was having an elite fantasy season. He was averaging, like 15 carries a game, plus another 4 receptions a game. He was first in targets and receptions, and he was the number 5 fantasy running back before he got hurt. He's missed 7 games in 2 years, so that's kind of a concern, but he's also 23. Usually in a running back's career, the age of 25 is their peak season. They peak early because they get a lot of wear and tear. So Swift's on the upswing. He's behind one of the best offensive lines. His usage reminds me of that of Alvin Kamara, and his game reminds me of that of, gosh, if I have to think about it, his game reminds me actually a lot of Todd Gurley before, like, obviously all the injury stuff. So I don't think he'll get as much usage as Gurley was getting with the Rams, but I mean, Swift's really good. Like, think about this. In 12 weeks last year, Swift got 62 receptions and 450 yards receiving. That's not even counting the 600 yards rushing he already had. He had 1,000 yards in 12 games. You don't have to have that kind of level of efficiency. You just got to keep him healthy. So, like, $51 for DeAndre Swift, I love that. Like, this was a steal. This was just one of my favorite picks of the draft because I just love Swift's talent. And everything's set up for him to succeed this year. I think they'll ease him in. I think he'll get like maybe 800 yards rushing and like 600 yards receiving, which is a 1,400 yard running back and probably like 10 touchdowns. I think he's a sneaky choice to slide into the top 5 running backs in fantasy. And getting him for 51, considering the going rate of running backs in our league, is wild. I'm surprised that a lot of people did not pay attention to the breakout candidate that is DeAndre Swift, but that's most of your draft. So we're gonna like scroll through it, but that I really love that. Next at 56 for $15. God, you killed me with this. It's my guy. I love him. We took Allen Robinson. Love Allen Robinson. He's in LA with the Rams now. Best quarterback he's ever had. Don't tell me how bad he was last year in Chicago when they couldn't get him the ball. You could not throw the ball within 5 yards of him without him catching the ball. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't throw the ball to him. It was stupid. It made me really upset. Yeah, he spent 4 years in Jacksonville, another 4 years in Chicago, wasting away with Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky, and finally we are away. He was a top 10 fantasy receiver in 2019 and 2020. Obviously, last year the wheels fell off because Chicago's no good and they're bad, and that's why I don't like Darnell Mooney and David Montgomery, but don't tell Stefan. So, yeah, he only had 38 receptions in 12 games. All of his efficiency was basically gone because they couldn't get him the ball. So, he's no longer the number one. Obviously, Cooper Kupp is the number one, and, Cooper Kupp's amazeballs, dude had maybe the greatest receiving season ever. He had 1,900 yards receiving and 16 touchdowns. So, obviously, I don't think Robinson's going to be like that, but they love to throw in LA. They love to score in LA. I think 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns is not unreasonable when that's what Robert Woods has been doing. And frankly, I think Allen Robinson is better than Robert Woods because while Robert Woods might get more separation than Allen Robinson is one of the best jump ball wide receivers in the NFL. And he is in the best situation he's ever been in his career. He's a top 20 receiver. I like him as a wide receiver too. Getting him for $15 is another steal. When it was happening, I was just like, man, I really, really want to get in on that, but I couldn't. It really grinded at me. That was rough. I really like Allen Robinson. He's my guy. And then we did Adam Thielen. We did Adam Thielen at 64 for $8. I mean, I think obviously he's on the downswing because, Justin Jefferson's there. And I mentioned in Brian's video, I do like KJ Osborne. But I also think Minnesota's going to open up the offense more. And while Thielen was the 7th best wide receiver in fantasy until he got hurt in week 13. So he was very, very good. He was a top 10 receiver. I think we're going to throw the ball more. I really do think this is finally going to be regression for touchdowns. He's gotten 24 touchdowns in the last 2 years, which is nuts. So I don't think he's going to get double-digit touchdowns this year, but that's okay. He doesn't have to get double-digit touchdowns. If you get 800 yards and 8 touchdowns, you're a wide receiver 3 flex guy, which is perfect for your team because you already have Allen Robinson, I guess, is your number 1, but technically I see him as number 2, but still, the depth is really good. And that's a really good deal of $8 on Adam Thielen, who was a really good receiver and is now going to a more pass-heavy offense. And then at 68, we spent a lot of money, $28, but we went for Cortland Sutton. So, man, this whole draft is just guys I'm excited about. So Cortland Sutton, really like Cortland Sutton. Sarah will tell you we read Warren Sharp's book a couple of years ago about Cortland Sutton. I liked him. I liked him before that, even when he was in college. So his first 4 years have been kind of a roller coaster, but Russell Wilson's there. And they hired the Green Bay Packers offensive coordinator. So he's been a really good deep threat. He's been 23 end zone targets in first couple of years. So he's 26 now. I guess he's sharing the spotlight with Jerry Jeudy, who I also like. But Russell Wilson was supporting DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and they were both top 30 receivers. Cortland Sutton's at least a top 30 receiver. So, again, 1,000 yards, around 8 touchdowns. Kind of like Thielen, but there's the possibility for more. If Cortland Sutton becomes what DK Metcalf was 2 years ago, then he's a top 15 receiver. And he's going to get, God, I don't even know how many targets we're talking. I think he only had 58 receptions. He might get 85 receptions. We might be talking almost 30 more balls because they're going to throw more. I really like Cortland Sutton. I think this is a slight overpay for the upside, but I really, really like Cortland Sutton because he could be your star number one breakout receiver. He could be the guy who's in like discussions for like best breakout receiver. Cortland Sutton's really good. Boy, this is like my fun like all upside draft. So we did Breece Hall. I know you really like Michael Carter, but you went for his replacement. So Breece Hall, second round pick of the Jets. He's a better version of David Montgomery. He's a patient back, but he has more speed. He can run, he can catch, he can block, he can do it all. He has a 4.39 40, so yeah, he's fast. I think he's going to share the load with Michael Carter early, much to your chagrin and to my benefit. But it wouldn't surprise me if Breece Hall eventually takes this job and he gets like 1,000 yards rushing and then another 250 receiving and like 7 touchdowns. I don't really believe in the Jets because the Jets are usually dumb. But the O-line isn't bad. I like their head coach, Robert Saleh. Their offensive coordinator is Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike LaFleur, so that's kind of weird. But that just tells me, kind of like what Matt LaFleur's done with Aaron Jones. I imagine that's what Mike LaFleur's going to do with like Breece Hall and Michael Carter. Michael Carter is A.J. Dillon. Breece Hall is Aaron Jones. The offensive lines are around the same. Obviously, there's a big difference between Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. But, still the comparison between the players in there makes sense. So, I like Breece Hall. Obviously, he's a rookie, so that's why there's a lot of unknown. He could not be good, or Michael Carter could take the job. So that's why it's risky. But man, $26 for him, like Josh Jacobs went for $26. Breece Hall has way more upside than Josh Jacobs. Honestly, even if we just split the difference, I think Breece Hall has a better season than Josh Jacobs because Breece Hall's not. Josh Jacobs dealing with a committee. Breece Hall's dealing with like a timeshare. $26 for your number 2 running back is really good, especially when that running back's a rookie and could break out. 86 pick, $17, Rashad Bateman. I love me some Ravens receivers, man. Okay, so like Marquise Brown is gone. I think Mark Andrews is the guy, but they still got to throw to somebody. And I always liked Bateman. I mean, Bateman was tremendous at Minnesota. I remember watching his games 2 years ago with Tyler Johnson, and I thought he was the best player on the field. So he's got a whole lot of talent. He can catch, he can block, but he's more quick than fast, but he's also very physical. If I'm being honest, his play style is a lot like Gabe Davis, who's the number 2 in Buffalo. Obviously, it's a run-heavy offense, so I don't think he'll get a lot. But I could see 1,000 yards receiving. I think he'll be low on the touchdowns, maybe like 4 or 5. But, that's number 3 receiver material, and he's your, number 4 receiver? So, if, I see Allen Robinson as a wide receiver 2. I see Adam Thielen as a wide receiver 3. I see Rashad Bateman as a wide receiver 3. I see Cortland Sutton as we'll say wide receiver 2 for now, but the possibility of being wide receiver 1. But all of them have upside. Even the older guy in Thielen has upside because freaking O'Connell's the coach now and they want to throw the ball more. So, it's crazy to me that you've got I like all of these guys. All of them have upside. Every single person I have mentioned has the upside to be a league winner kind of player. That's crazy that, what the hell was everybody else doing? Why is Max spending $11 on Kyle Pitts when we can have Adam Thielen for $8? What are we doing? Robbie's talking about Treylon Burks for $5, got $9 sitting on the board. He could have had Adam Thielen for $8. Come on. Really? Really, guys? There's some really, really aggressively good deals. Now, I like Jalen Hurts for $6 more. But Kyler Murray for $5 at 97 is also a really good deal. Kyler Murray, I think, if I'm being honest, ought to run more. If Lamar Jackson runs for 1,000 yards and Jalen Hurts runs for 800 yards, Kyle Murray ought to be running for 600 yards. He's really fast. But I think the Ravens are a smart organization. I think that the Eagles are an analytical smart organization. I don't think the Cardinals are a very smart organization, which is why I didn't like Brian believes in Rondell Moore. I don't. It's nothing against him. It's just organization-wise, not great. And that's kind of the reason, like, it's 2 years in a row that we've seen Kyler Murray just, like, really, really high, MVP conversation, and then I want some consistency. I want him to be consistently good for a whole season. Not, like, great and then terrible. Good. So, is he a top 5 quarterback? I mean, on talent, yeah. But he was like, 11 last year? So he's a back-end kind of guy, but the upside for him to possibly be the MVP is there. He could throw for like 4,200 yards. He could break 30 touchdowns. He got a brand new cool extension. Honestly, I think they ought to run him more so I could see 500 yards rushing. I like Kyler Murray. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury's a very good coach because, I mean, heck, he got fired from Texas Tech and then he got planted in this job. So, like, he's trying to build an offense around Kyler Murray, but it's basically just like the air raid that Mike Leach, he's a proponent of the air raid that Mike Leach runs out of Mississippi State that he used to run at Texas Tech. But the point is, the O-line's not great. James Conner's going to get a lot of goal line work. DeAndre Hopkins is missing 6 weeks, but there is the possibility that Kyler Murray does put it together. $5. I mean, Lamar Jackson went for $5. Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson were basically kind of pretty similar last year. Only Murray played bad in the second half, and Jackson just missed a few games, so they were very similar. But $5 is $5. It's not bad. We took the bane of my players, or the bane of, I don't want to say the bane of my existence, but the bane of, like, fantasy for me. At 121 for $5, Jamal Williams. I never liked Jamal Williams because he was stealing time from Aaron Jones, and he's going to steal time from DeAndre Swift, and he's like a zombie, and I hate it, and I wish he would go away. It's nothing against him. He's a super nice guy. I know they really like him. He's got great character. I'm tired of Jamal Williams stealing away touches from better players. DeAndre Swift is a better player. Aaron Jones is a better player. Go away. Go away, Jamal Williams. Go play special teams. So, yeah, I mean, was he good when... Scratch that. Was he serviceable when DeAndre Swift was missing last year? Yes, he was serviceable. So, DeAndre Swift was 4th in fantasy points up until week 12. Once he was hurt, then Jamal Williams was 30th in fantasy points. There was a very massive drop-off. But he was there, existing. He was a starting running back. So I suppose he has some sort of place in the league. I'm sure they will give him too many carries. So maybe 125 carries, maybe like, God, I'm going to be mad if he gets like more than 400 yards rushing. Maybe like 4 or 5 touchdowns, but he's just a vulture. He just vultures on to better players, and I don't like it because his talent's not there. His talent isn't good enough for this. So, unless Swift gets injured, I'm just keeping him planted to the bench and wishing that the Lions would sign a better backup because I'm tired of Jamal Williams being a vulture. It makes me mad. He's not good. 123, $11, James Cook. So I will say I don't really like this pick. I know James Cook's a rookie. I know you're going to say it's like, oh, but he's got the upside and he's a rookie. But, like, we've seen this before. We had Devin Singletary 3 years ago. We had Zach Moss, last year. We got James Cook now. Like, every year in Buffalo, it's another running back. When really the answer is Josh Allen's the number 1 running back. So, like, he ran a 4.42 40-yard dash, and his brother is Dalvin Cook on the Vikings. That's, honestly, I don't know why the Vikings didn't just draft James Cook, if I'm being honest. But he has really good receiving ability. He only had, I want to say, 230 some odd carries in 4 years at Georgia, but his efficiency was very good, but he was really efficient pass catcher. So I think they'll use him. Hmm. If I have to think about it, kind of the same way Washington uses J.D. McKissick or Kareem Hunt in Cleveland. So I think he has some upside. I think he's going to get like 300 yards rushing, maybe 300 yards receiving. He'll be like a serviceable kind of like back. But the real worry is like, like Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are there, and they're not really going away. So even if he could take the job from one of them and be the third down back, it's still not exactly great. He's not going to like steal all of the touches. I would have preferred not to use $11 on him. I would have preferred to like get someone else. I mean, this is like 123. Yeah, James Robinson. Like Seven took James Robinson for like $7. I would have probably preferred that. But it's also kind of like tough considering like towards the end of the draft a lot of the running backs are gone. I mean, Tony Pollard went for 13. I think that's a better handcuff. So not great just based on situation, but talent, he's talented. 126, $9, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, Hopkins is tremendous, but last year wasn't great. So what? He only played like 10 games and he didn't see a lot of usage with Kyler Murray. He got a lot of touchdowns. He got 8 touchdowns. And he's super reliable, and I still think he's like a number one. If we're being honest, this is probably your number one receiver. He's just got to stay healthy. I know he's going to miss like roughly half the season with 6 games, but he's so good when he plays, man. Even last year, he only got 42 receptions with all the injuries and stuff. He still got 8 touchdowns. He wasn't great for Patrick, but I mean, at this price, like, who cares? Like, $9 for a bona fide number one receiver in one of the pass heaviest offenses. I don't care. Like, do it. So, like, yeah, super love him. Oh my God, just these receivers. You took Kadarius Toney. I love Kadarius Toney. Like, he's super polarizing because, like, he gets injured a lot, and the Giants are just terrible. But, I mean, week 8 last year? No, week 5. Week 5, he had 189 yards receiving, which is, like, 7th most in the last 20 years. I think Josh Gordon had like a 200-yard game in like 2012, and like obviously OBJ had like a close to 200-yard game with the Giants in 2014. But like Toney just gets, when he's healthy and engaged in playing, he's uncoverable. Like I thought he was good at Florida, but like holy crap, he was tremendous with the Giants. Like he could run circles around guys. He's like a better version of Hunter Renfrow because he's fast, and not only is he good at reading coverage, but he's also like really, really good at just being able to like get on the same page with like bad quarterbacks. Like Daniel Jones is bad. Kadarius Toney was like elevating his game, just trying to be able to read what Jones was doing and trying to get open. And that is hard because if you watch Daniel Jones, he's not good. So, durability is a concern. The quarterback's a concern. The offensive line is a concern. But Toney is elite at getting open. And Brian Dable is one of the smartest offensive coaches in football, if I'm being honest. I mean, he made Tua Tagovailoa into a first-round pick. He turned Josh Allen from what we thought of as kind of like a Cam Newton kind of guy his rookie year into like an MVP candidate. And so maybe he can't work his match with Daniel Jones. Maybe he's too far gone. But, Tyrod Taylor's the backup. I really, really like Kadarius Toney, like a lot. He's one of, like him and Elijah Moore are like two of my super duper, like they're the New York sleepers, the sleepless nights in New York guys, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, these guys have so much talent. You just got to get them the ball. And I guess that's the rub. Can Daniel Jones or Zach Wilson get Kadarius Toney or Elijah Moore the ball? But, I mean, we're finding out for what? How much are we paying for him? Paying $8 for him? And he's our what? He's our sixth receiver? If Kadarius Toney, like the Kadarius Toney upside is he could be like a top 10 receiver in fantasy. Like, that's how good he is on just pure talent. You got to keep him engaged. You got to keep him healthy. But, I mean, $8, roll the dice. Like, that is great. Like, he ought to be a starting receiver on somebody's team. I don't know how the hell he went for $8. What was I doing? Like, well, this is 131. Where was I? Oh, I was out of money by then. Okay. Oh my God. Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen, Cortland Sutton, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Kadarius. Like, these are all just crazy upside guys. And realistically, if I'm being honest, you only need 3 of them to hit. You don't even need all of them to hit. So, like, just the range of outcomes is super high, but, like, man, oh man, are they good. And then we took, who did we take? Chris Olave? Chris Olave for $8. So, I may not love Chris Olave as much, because I do have Michael Thomas. I think he's a vertical receiver, but he reminds me a lot of kind of like Deshaun Jackson. He's not great after the catch. Well, no, he's good after the catch, but he only goes deep. So his route running's not tremendous, and he also has to deal with Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry, and we're talking the Jameis Winston show. But still, I think he'll have a good rookie season. It won't surprise me if he's better than all of the rookie receivers Robbie picked, just simply because of the situation. So I could see like 900 yards receiving and like 7 touchdowns, which is like a starting receiver in our league, and he's like your 6th receiver. And then we finished off with Rachaad White for $3. The guy they picked out of Arizona State in the 3rd round, who's really good receiving back, who's Leonard Fournette's backup because he's taking that job. He's really explosive out of the backfield. I like him a lot. He's a good player. If something happened to Fournette, I think he's coming around, but I don't. Other than that, though, it's like a dart throw, but he has value just basically being able to trade with a handcuff. So where does that put us all? Like, so much praise, but he's not my number 1 team. Why is that? Well, the reason that is because, like, as much as I love all of the upside with Justin, that also means there's downside. He took so many upside players that I like that I would have liked that he took, like, just a couple, like, safe guys. Like I took Brandon Cooks, right, for, like, $18. Brandon Cooks would be perfect on this team. And the reason why is because you could just play him there. You know he's going to get his 1,000 yards. It's like 6 touchdowns. And not worry about it. Like, these guys, like, Hopkins is suspended. Toney's always undependable. Olave's a rookie. Bateman's never shown it. So, like, there's a lot of, like, he could be really, really, really good. And I really like that. But he could also just be terrible. And sometimes you got to split the middle and be just like, you just got to be decent. You just got to get there. Like, I just want to fill the hole that is in this lineup. But, I mean, you took so many high upside receivers that, like, you're bound to hit on at least 3 of them. Like, Jesus. So, I really like these guys. Like, I really like this team a lot. But I can't go to the level, like, Robbie has all the really good running backs. And I know Robbie's going to figure it out. Sarah has a really good, solid team, and I know she's very good at drafting. Brian has won a championship now, and he is, like, he's probably the best drafter. If I look at it holistically, just by the out-of-town people, Ryan's won a championship. Robbie's won a championship. Brian's won a championship. Stefan went to the finals last year. Mac went to the finals last year. Or not last year, but Mac's been to the finals before. So you're the only one. You're the only one that's never been past the semifinals. You've never been to the finals. If things break right for you, you can win a championship. But it's as I say every year, I don't know if you'll be as diligent with it. Like, I saw Stefan make the $70 plunge with Elijah Mitchell last year. I always see like Sarah and Brian put in the work during the season to like figure it out on their team. I don't know if you're going to do that. I've never seen you like really, really grind like those guys. I know your goal is not to be the last place team, so maybe you're not shooting for that. And if you're not, that's fine. I really like the team a lot. But, gosh, the range of outcomes on your team is nuts because of all the upside. I really, really like the receiver room. And I really like DeAndre Swift and Breece Hall a lot, too. The concern I have is, like, obviously at running back because I have Michael Carter. Michael Carter went for $3. You ought to have picked him up. But, I mean, maybe you could use another running back, but you could trade DeAndre Hopkins for another running back. You don't need all of these just tremendous upside receivers. You can trade one for a back. You probably ought to think about that just for, like, the safety valve. But, I really, really like this team just purely for, like, how much upside they have. Like, this team could, like, if everyone on this team hits their, like, basically ceiling, this team's going to slaughter everybody. I don't think that'll actually happen, but, like, it's crazy. So, but you really got to put in the work. And I don't know if you're going to do that. Like, right now you're carrying, like, Blake Martinez, who's a free agent linebacker because he got cut. And Rashad Gary's your starting defensive lineman, and he's not great. There are better defensive linemen. I don't know if you're going to put in the time and effort like the other guys, the other out-of-town guys will. I just don't know. I've never seen it. So, but I really like the team. I like the team a lot. I really want this team to win. I'm going to give you, let's see, if Brian's an A-, and Sarah's a B+, and Robbie's a B+, you're a B, if only because things could go south, and I don't know if you could fix it. So, but I do think this team's better than Stefan and Mac, just because, like, holy crap, the upside is nuts on this team. Like, imagine if Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen, Cortland Sutton, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kadarius Toney are all top 20 receivers. Imagine that. Imagine how good this team could be. Like, you could trade Hopkins and Toney for, like, a top 30 running back, and this team will just murder people. Like, it is crazy how high the upside is. I don't think, obviously, all of that will happen. Someone's going to get hurt. Something will happen. But, like, you just need half of them to hit. And it's just crazy how deep the receiver room is on this team. Like, it is nuts. This is the deepest receiver room I think I've seen in our entire years of drafting. Like, I just love the upside. Like, this is so well budgeted. But I really, really hope that you take care of it and you serve it well. You don't just, like, try and play it by the stats or just like, oh, I got to dump this guy here. Like, you really got to work it right. Because, I mean, you got to put in the effort in order to win. But, man, I really like this team. So, good job, Justin. This was, usually with your drafts, I'm kind of like, I don't really know. This is kind of weird. But this was just straight, just like, if we want to go like boomer bust, we can go boomer bust. But really, I'm going to call this the nitrous draft because, like, it's just, you're just turned on the nitrous going like 150, and I don't know if we're going to explode or go 200. It's wild, but I really love it.